Drive, a group of friends gathered together to celebrate a birthday, heading to a local brewery, when it all went terribly wrong.
Gonna need multiple ambulances, post midlife on standby.
18 people inside a limousine killed when officials say it barreled through this intersection, plowing into a parking lot, slamming into an empty SUV, striking and killing 2 bystanders before landing in a wooded area.
This is one of the biggest loss of lives that we've seen in a long, long time.
This, the deadliest transportation accident in the U.S. since 2009. In total, 20 dead. A community left reeling.
Know that we try to understand the pain you're facing.
And with an investigation ongoing, questions now swirling over the checkered safety record of that limousine company and the potential dangers this form of luxury travel may hold. It was just before 2 p.m. in Schoharie, New York, a small town near Albany. An afternoon birthday celebration for the youngest of 4 sisters, all 4 among the 18 people, including the driver, riding in a 2001 Stretch Ford Excursion. This video showing the path the limousine took in those final moments. The speed limit here 50 miles per hour. Authorities say it's unclear how fast the vehicle was going. My colleague David Curley was on the scene.
That limousine came barreling down this hill. There's a stop sign there, but it didn't stop. And it came right across this state highway and slammed right into this parking lot and an embankment, which is very difficult to see here.
Emergency workers using the jaws of life to cut open the limousine.
When we were pulling bodies out, they were still alive. And we kept going.
This morning, authorities hoping to learn more about the seconds and milliseconds before that high-speed crash and why there were no signs of skid marks on the road. The airbag control module, think of it as the black box of the Ford Excursion, now being studied.
The engine from this actually went beyond the driver's seat, behind the driver's seat?
That's correct. The engine block was pushed back into the driver's compartment.
But behind the seat?
It's hard to tell because there's so much damage.
While there were seat belts in the vehicle, it's not clear whether any of the passengers wore them, something not required in New York State.
During a severe crash, you're going to be violently thrown around the vehicle. When you have that many people unrestrained, you have increased chances of contacting the interior of the vehicle, hard structures with your head and other vital body regions.
And lingering questions about earlier that day, it appears at least one of the victims may have been worried about the limo's condition prior to the crash. The New York Times reporting one of those killed, Erin McGowan, sent a text to a friend writing, "The motor is making everyone deaf." The search for answers continues. Friends and families left heartbroken.
I had 4 nieces. They're all dead.
Among the deceased, those sisters, Amy, Abigail, Mary, and Allison, along with 3 of their husbands. 26-year-old Amanda Hulse and boyfriend Patrick Cushing also lost their lives.
I have absolutely no words. I feel like my heart is sunken. It's in a place where I've never felt this type of pain before.
Today, in hopes of getting answers, investigators are turning their attention to the driver in the limo company, Prestige Limousine, based in upstate New York. According to officials, the driver, identified as Scott Lisanicia, also killed, did not have the proper license to carry that many passengers.
The onus on checking a driver's credentials is on the owner of the limousine company.
Richard Burke is the driver's family spokesperson.
The wife told me that he had complained to her regarding the condition of some of the vehicles.
But New York Governor Andrew Cuomo told reporters there were red flags prior to the accident.
The owner of the company had no business putting a failed vehicle on the road.
The governor pointing to a series of citations from just last month, when the limo involved received 6 citations, among them issues with the brake system and missing or defective emergency exits, all adding to a record peppered with infractions. In the last 2 years, 5 safety inspections forced the company to put 4 other vehicles out of service. This morning, the company's attorney responding to the governor.
It's in their interest to point away from any failures on behalf of the state,
claiming repairs had been made.
As we understand right now, the inspections last month were minor things, windshield wipers, a latch on a window that needed to be fixed, and all those things were fixed.
Investigators say this man, Shahid Hussein, is the owner of Prestige. He's the same man who once worked as an FBI informant. For a time, he ran prestige out of this low-budget hotel. At the moment, Hussein is out of the country. But in a statement, the company extending their condolences and stating they have already met with state and federal investigators and plan to do so again. But deadly accidents like these are now raising questions about the safety of riding in a stretch limousine.
There are no organizations that are conducting high-speed crash tests to evaluate occupant safety.
Not all limos are made by car companies. They actually are regular cars or SUVs that are modified to enlarge their capacity, like the vehicle in Saturday's crash. Ford says they've never made their own stretch limo version of the Excursion SUV.
Once you take a vehicle and you section it, you are compromising those structures. They do build them up with some additional steel and aluminum components, but the engineering that went into that first round of design is simply not there for some of these modified vehicles.
This isn't the first time an accident involving one of these stretch limousines has led to multiple fatalities. Back in 2005, a limousine crash in Long Island killed 4 of the 8 passengers on board after the vehicle was struck.
The limousine was making a turn at the intersection when the pickup truck drove into the passenger side of the limousine.
That crash prompting a grand jury investigation. The 2016 report finding in part that largely unregulated side impact safety features of stretch limousines were insufficient to protect passengers. The vehicle had been converted from a town car to a stretch limo, according to the same report. But according to the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, only 31 of the more than 350,000 fatal vehicular accidents in the last 10 years involved large limos.
For the most part, these events tend to be very rare. As tragic as it is, we have a lot more work to do in other areas.